This story is brought to you by HelloDearReader.com.
The cake is delicious, but what clues are in the envelope? Wait. Ancient monsters can read? Of course, dear listener, they can. Let's jump in and find out what happens next. Part 4. Tears began to well up in her beautiful green eyes as she continued her fall to death. What could be considered a heart for my kind started to scream in agony for her. I had little time to react. I had to save her, at any cost. I raced back to my home, excited. She had left me a cake and a note. But how did she know? Has she seen me watching? This worried me. Few times that my kind had been found unintentionally had always ended badly for the humans. But this time, I felt different. I knew Sophia was more like the other humans I had known so many years ago. I sat with the plate before me. The cake posed like a prize beyond value. Carefully I cut the cake with my claw and began to savor the treat. I rarely had anything considered fresh. This cake was the most delicious treat I have ever had. It rivaled the baking of the goddess Fornax. Honestly, most of the joy came from who had given it to me. The letter was in a pink envelope. So very carefully, I used my sharp claw to slice open the delicate paper. The message was written on light purple paper. Printed in dark blue ink with bits of glitter was neat swirling handwriting and the words, "Dear friend." I stopped breathing. I realized the silliness of my reaction to an informal greeting like friend. For one moment in so long, I felt companionship. I breathed out and smacked away one of the others trying to steal my cake. The creature's squeal and loud thump against the wall sent the others scurrying away. They would not try that again. I continued to read the letter. She thanked me for the gift. She thought it was very pretty and promised to wear it every day. She asked if I was the one who had given her the blanket and food when she had run away. Since he, I assumed the male, left, she felt like someone was watching over her. She signed it, "Your friend." At the bottom was a PS, "Please write back." Write back. I was unprepared for that suggestion. There were only a few times that I needed to write anything down. Those were dire times, but this was different. She wanted me to write her a letter. I was unsure how or what to say. "Does the monster have a girlfriend?" hissed one of the others. The other vermin giggled with the tease. Bravery from food was not a good trait. "She wants me to write back," I said, ignoring the filthy others and wondering how I was going to accomplish this task. This was an unusual task for me. "Pen and paper," the other said sarcastically. The teasing was getting annoying. I growled with displeasure at the other. I allowed the creatures to live within my domain as a food source for me. When they tried my patience, I enjoyed the buffet meal. I was starting to get hungry. I know this creature. I don't know where to get a pen and paper. I left the last words to come out in a growl. Or, for that matter, what to say. Tell her what you think or how you feel. I used to write love letters to all the women I loved. The creature swooned a little. It was sickening. "I think you should be a meal, and I feel hungry." The creature eased away from me. "If you don't eat me, I'll assist you in writing your letter," it said with a hope of not being my next meal. "Deal. Where do we start?" I asked. This was a first, me and one of the others working together. "You need a pen and paper," it laughed a nervous laugh realizing that this may anger me. "Yes, and an envelope like the one she used," I said, pondering where to go. The thought struck me that I could rummage in various dumpsters around the area. I typically didn't search in some because they only had paper. It was the places where these humans went during the day. I heard they were called office jobs. I searched in various alleys where these places were looking in each dumpster. Eventually, I found a working pen, clean paper, and a few envelopes. I couldn't find any colorful paper or envelopes, but the white ones would do. I returned to my lyre with my prizes. I was going to compose a letter for the first time in many years. The others were gathered together, having an intense conversation. This was concerning. "What are you doing, vermin?" I said, curious to see so many gathered together. They typically hated each other as much as they hated me. "We were composing your letter," one of the others said. "A group effort as it were. I really hate the smart ones. They were at least tasty." "And?" I asked skeptically, wondering why they were helping me. One approached me and stood bold, or as bold as a round ball of slimy fur could be. It smiled, which was creepy for the others. The others stood back, watching with some intensity. I gathered my paper and got as comfortable as I could. The pen was difficult to hold with my long claws. These were not meant to hold a pen. "Dearest, Sophie." The other dictated as I scrawled on the paper as best I could. I am happy you have enjoyed your gift, it continued slowly, giving me time to keep pace. This wasn't as bad as I thought. I hope that you had a wonderful birthday. Thank you for the letter and the cake. It was delicious. I held up my claw for the creature to pause. How do you spell delicious? The others gathered and conversed quickly. One of them in the back said, Delicious. I nodded once I was done writing the word. It touches me that you thought of me, it continued, I'd like to touch you in naughty ways. The other cackled with laughter as the rest scattered for cover. With a loud roar, I snatched it with my claws. I ate it, making sure to dramatically show chewing and crunching the foul thing. This showed how little patience I had with the others when I came to my Sophie. After I finished eating the insulate other, I sat back down. I gathered the pen and paper once more to finish my letter. I didn't need the others to help me. I could do this myself. I began to write and told her that I had left the blanket and food for her. I had also been keeping an eye on her safety. I was afraid that she would feel I had unscrupulous intentions as I wrote. What if I frighten her? I am a monster, after all. Once I finished the letter, I folded it as neatly as possible and placed it back on her porch with the paper plate. I waited with dread for her response. She could become scared and tell her mother. This was the price I was willing to take. The next night as I was leaving my home, I found another letter from her. She had left a letter under a small rock inside the drain. This began our exchange of notes for several months while she respected my need for secrecy and privacy. Never did she try to find me or tell anyone of our correspondence. Until Monster and Sophie are now pen pals. This has to be a first for our ancient monster. Next week, pen pals. Impatient dear listener? If so, you can buy the finished novella on hellodearreader.com.
Hope you enjoyed the story. Please like and share. See more stories at hellodearreader.com.